A Fed move could cost you $4,200 a year. The Federal Reserve's potential rate hike in September is making headlines, and for good reason. With oil prices on the rise, the likelihood of a rate hike has increased, which could significantly impact borrowing costs and savings rates for consumers. In this video, we'll explore what the rate hike could mean for your wallet and portfolio, and what you can do to prepare. A rate hike would increase mortgage rates, making it more expensive to buy or refinance a home. For example, a $300,000 mortgage at 4% interest would cost $1,432 per month. But if the rate hike increases the interest rate to 5%, that same mortgage would cost $1,610 per month, an increase of $178. And with the average American homeowner having a mortgage balance of $200,000, this could add up quickly. In fact, a 1% increase in mortgage rates could cost homeowners an additional $2,000 per year. But it's not all bad news. A rate hike could also lead to higher savings rates, which could be a boon for savers. For instance, a savings account with a 2% interest rate could earn $200 in interest per year on a $10,000 balance. But if the rate hike increases the interest rate to 3%, that same savings account could earn $300 in interest per year, an increase of $100. And with the average American having $10,000 in savings, this could add up to a significant amount. Additionally, consider the case of John, who is planning to buy a $400,000 home with a 20% down payment. If the mortgage rate increases from 4% to 5%, his monthly mortgage payment would increase by $240, from $1,547 to $1,787. But what about the impact on credit card interest? That's what we'll explore next. A rate hike would also increase credit card interest rates, making it more expensive to carry a balance. For example, a credit card with a $2,000 balance and an 18% interest rate would cost $360 in interest per year. But if the rate hike increases the interest rate to 20%, that same credit card would cost $400 in interest per year, an increase of $40. And with the average American having $4,000 in credit card debt, this could add up quickly. In fact, a 1% increase in credit card interest rates could cost consumers an additional $400 per year. Back in 2006, the Federal Reserve raised interest rates to combat inflation, which led to a significant decrease in consumer spending. But it also led to a decrease in inflation and an increase in savings rates. A common misconception is that credit card interest rates are fixed, but in reality, they can fluctuate based on market conditions. For instance, the credit card company, Chase, has a variable interest rate that can increase or decrease based on the prime rate. And with consumer spending making up 70% of the U.S. economy, this could have significant implications. Consider the example of Sarah, who has a $5,000 credit card balance with a 20% interest rate. If the rate hike increases the interest rate to 22%, her annual interest payment would increase by $100, from $1,000 to $1,100. But what about the impact on the economy as a whole? That's what we'll explore next. But the part that surprised me most is what this does to your 401k. And I'm about to reveal a shocking example of how a rate hike could impact your retirement savings, including a potential loss of thousands of dollars in just 1 year, and what you can do to protect yourself. For instance, you'll learn how a 1% increase in interest rates could lead to a 5% decrease in bond values, and how this could affect your 401k portfolio. That's next. A rate hike could also impact your 401k, particularly if you have a significant portion of your portfolio invested in bonds. With higher interest rates, bond prices would likely decrease, which could impact the value of your 401k. For example, a $100,000 401k portfolio with 50% invested in bonds could lose $5,000 in value if bond prices decrease by 10%. But it's not all bad news. A rate hike could also lead to higher returns on other investments, such as stocks. In fact, a study by the Federal Reserve found that a 1% increase in interest rates could lead to a 2% increase in stock prices. And with the average American having $100,000 in their 401k, this could add up to a significant amount. Additionally, back in 2008, during the financial crisis, a rate hike led to a significant increase in bond yields, which ultimately benefited investors who had diversified their portfolios. Consider the case of Michael, who has a $200,000 401k portfolio with 60% invested in bonds. If the rate hike decreases the bond value by 12%, his portfolio could lose $14,400 in value. But what about the historical context of rate hikes? That's what we'll explore next. But what if I told you that this rate hike is not the first of its kind? In fact, it's part of a larger historical trend that has repeated itself over the past few decades, and understanding this trend could help you make more informed investment decisions. For example, you'll learn how the 1994 rate hike led to a significant increase in mortgage rates, and how this affected the housing market. You'll also discover how the 2006 rate hike led to a decrease in consumer spending, and how this impacted the overall economy. That's what we'll explore in the next section, including a detailed analysis of the historical context and its implications for your investments. The current rate hike is not an isolated event. It's part of a larger historical trend. In fact, the Federal Reserve has raised interest rates several times in the past, with varying effects on the economy. For example, in 2015, the Federal Reserve raised interest rates for the first time in nearly a decade, which led to a significant increase in mortgage rates. But it also led to a decrease in unemployment and an increase in economic growth. And in 2006, the Federal Reserve raised interest rates to combat inflation, which led to a significant decrease in consumer spending. But it also led to a decrease in inflation and an increase in savings rates. So what can we learn from these historical examples? And how can you prepare for the potential impact of the rate hike on your finances? Consider the example of the 1980s, when the Federal Reserve raised interest rates to combat high inflation, leading to a significant decrease in consumer spending and an increase in savings rates. You'll learn how to apply these historical lessons to your own investment strategy, including how to diversify your portfolio and protect yourself from potential losses. That's what we'll conclude with. In conclusion, the potential Federal Reserve rate hike in September could have significant implications for your wallet and portfolio. Whether it's the impact on mortgage rates, credit card interest, or your 401k, it's essential to understand what the rate hike could mean for you. To take control of your finances, consider reviewing your budget, adjusting your investment portfolio, and consulting with a financial advisor. Take the first step by downloading our free guide to navigating rate hikes, which includes a comprehensive checklist and a step-by-step plan to protect your investments. This is for education, not financial advice. Talk to a fiduciary for your situation. If this changed how you think about the rate hike, hit subscribe. I break down one of these every week.